A Dungeon Master's Guide to the Lost Mines of Phandelver. This video is intended for Dungeon Masters looking to run the Lost Mine of Phandelver. It details what you need to know to run the campaign, as well as tips and tricks for mechanics and storytelling. There are more details in the book, which you can purchase at the link in the description. Warning! This is for Dungeon Master's eyes only. You have been warned. Hundreds of years ago, a rich mine had all the materials required to make magic items. This cave was known as Wave Echo Cave, and inside was a magical forge. Many dwarves and gnomes worked there, earning a large amount of gold for their efforts. However, an orc invasion swept through the land, destroying most of the civilization, and the mine was buried due to the siege of the orcs. Although the mine was lost, the rumours of its existence lived on, and many people came from far and wide to uncover this buried treasure. The Rockseeker brothers, a trio of dwarves, have found the location of the lost mines, and have tried to gather together resources in secret to unearth it. However, a mysterious villain known as the Black Spider, a drow elf, has staked a claim on the mines and has used his magic and various powerful allies to rally goblin tribes. While both the Rockseekers and the Black Spider are trying to gain control over this mine, they also have to keep their operations a secret from spreading into the world. The last thing that they want is to attract the attention of more individuals with the promise of buried treasure. The players will eventually stumble into these facts as they piece together information from various factions and creatures around the area. Part 1. The Cragmaw Rescue. Gundren was travelling ahead of the players along with a knight known as Sildar. They were ambushed by a patrolling band of goblins who have orders from a local bugbear, a pawn of the Black Spider's schemes. The goblins are ignorant of the mine, but they know that they can steal from travellers, and capturing dwarves makes their master happy. Players uncover the wreckage of a horse and cart attacked by goblins, and then they are attacked by the few lingering goblins looking to get easy pickings from gawkers who sift through the wreckage. The players will defend themselves from the goblins, and the goblins will flee once they feel outmatched. Combat takes place on a small, uninteresting road that usually has a forest on one side and a small craggy cliff on the other. The goblins use the high ground to shoot anything below them and then retreat back into the forest. You should have a number of goblins equal to half the amount of players plus one. This should make an easy encounter, and you don't want the goblins to immediately kill the players. After half the goblins have died, the rest immediately flee into the forest to return to Cragmaw's hideout. In combat, the goblins shoot and then move into cover, using their bonus action to hide. Allow players to make a perception check as an action. If a player spots a goblin, they can alert the other players to its position and the fight can continue. Looting the goblins reveals only a few cheap items, but you may want to have the players find a crude looking map or a trinket that tells them about the area. Using investigation or survival at a difficulty of 10, the players can discover that the cart was attacked from above, and it looks like two humanoids were dragged away from this location along with a stash of potentially valuable items. If the players fail these checks, or they choose not to pursue Rockseeker, they eventually arrive at the town of Phandalin, where they are asked why they have arrived. When they mention that they are in service to Rockseeker, the townsfolk explain that he was supposed to return to town, but never did. They are also told about the recent goblin attacks in the area and how the roads have become more dangerous, and that out there in the forest somewhere, the goblins have a base of operations. The goblins are known as the Many Arrows tribe, and they have been harassing Phandalin for some time now. Players can stay at the Stonehill Inn for a very cheap price of 5 coppers, as the inn has been struggling to keep visitors for long, due to some trouble caused by a local gang known as the Red Cloaks or the Redbrands. This quest can later be attended to by the players. It is good to mention to the players that if Gundren dies, they may never receive their reward, and while there is no explicit time constraint, you should let players know that sitting idle could result in the adventure coming to a disappointing end. Players can now seek out Cragmaw Cave with a survival check of about 10, as goblins are not too good at covering their own tracks through the forest. Alternatively, they could capture a goblin and be led to Cragmaw Cave. If the players fail any checks, they may get lost in the forest or run into other monsters, or perhaps other goblins looking out to burgle travellers. They also may stumble into pit traps and snares, dealing about 1d6 to any character attempting to lead the party. Eventually, players will arrive at Cragmaw Cave. Area 1 is the entrance to the cave. This encounter can be quite dangerous if the players rush in recklessly. Make sure you describe how the cave has a bad smell, a dark atmosphere, and human bones scattered around the mouth of the cave. You may want to describe the pained cries of a human captive inside, Sildar, the knight that was with Rockseeker. Over in Area 2, we can see that outside the cave there is a single goblin keeping watch. He will alert the guards inside and make the encounter more dangerous. It is best to recommend to the players that they find a way of sneaking in or silently take down the goblin before he causes any trouble. In Area 3, we have the first room, which is a small chamber with a group of wolves tied up with ropes that have been affixed to a pillar in the room. There are about half as many wolves as there are players. The wolves are somewhat lethargic from not being fed, but if they are disturbed, they will alert the rest of the cave with their barking. The wolves are tied to a large rock in the centre of the room. A difficulty 10 animal handling check, or a spell such as Speak with Animals, may reveal that the wolves will run away if they are cut free from their bonds. You should give the players advantage if they coax the animals with food and rations. At the back of the wolves' den is a chute that leads up to the final boss room, Clark the Bugbear. Players can see a fire glowing 30 feet up the chute and hear his angry grumbling as he greedily counts his treasure. They can attempt to climb it with a DC 10 athletics check. Failing this causes them to fall, taking 2d6 damage. In Area 4, there is a steep passage that bypasses a lot of the dungeon. Players will have to make a successful DC 10 athletics check to climb if they do not have a climb speed. Failure means taking 1d6 falling damage and alerting the rest of the cave. In Area 5, there is a rickety wooden bridge about 10 feet above the passage. A goblin is situated there, and if they can see someone carrying a torch or not approaching stealthily, they can alert the rest of the goblins to release the water trap. Players that try to sneak by make a stealth check while the goblin makes a perception check. The trap is a huge torrent of water that crashes through the tunnel. Anyone caught in the path must make a DC 15 strength save or be knocked prone, taking 1d6 damage, and be deposited at the river outside Area 1. If this happens, roll initiative, and the players will either have to fight the goblins that emerge from the cave or flee into the forest. After getting past Area 5, players can walk through Area 7 to get to Area 6. Here, several goblins are keeping an eye on their captive and enjoy going through his items and eating his rations. His sword and armour, however, have been stolen and taken to Cragmaw Castle. You should have as many goblins here as there are players. Make one of the goblins look slightly more important looking and raise their hit points to 12. He'll be the leader of the troop. The players can choose whatever method they'd like to recover Sildar, but if a goblin gets away, they will alert Clark to come defend the cave from these intruders. Once Sildar is rescued, he asks the players to escort him back to Phandalin, and will happily give the 50 gold pieces the goblins took from him to the players. In Area 7, the room is fairly noisy due to the constant running of water, but players can see that there is a dam of water here and that it was set up as a trap to wash out any unwanted intruders. Only 1 or 2 goblins will be here waiting for the order to release the water. They can be taken down quickly, and the sound of their death is usually drowned out by the noise of the running water. In Area 8, Clark's Cave is here. There is a large bonfire in the centre of the room, and stolen supplies have been stacked up along the walls. There are about 200 pounds of general domestic goods with the Lion Shield coaster painted on them. This belongs to the general store back in Phandalin, and if returned, the players will receive a 25 gold piece reward. Clark believes himself to be a mighty warlord, having stolen all this equipment, and often talks in third person, referring to himself as Clark the Mighty. He fights aggressively, and if outmatched he may retreat down the chute that leads to Area 3, the Wolves' Den. He makes a DC 10 athletics check to safely climb down, but if he fails, he falls and takes 2d6 damage. Once Clark is defeated or ousted from the cave, players can make a DC 15 investigation check to find a secret chest that holds Clark's treasures. Inside, the players can find 600 copper, 110 silver, 2 healing potions, and a jade frog idol worth 40 gold pieces. After completing this portion of the adventure, players will usually have leveled up to level 2. If Clark escapes, he may show up later in the adventure to get his revenge. Part 2. The Red Menace in Phandalin. Eventually, the group returns to Phandalin along with Sildar. He has a room in the Stonehill Inn and invites player characters to stay with him there while they plan on finding Gundren. Sildar explains that Gundren knows something about the ruins of this town, and that he had a great treasure he had to keep secret. He then explains that Gundren was separated from him by a mysterious cloaked individual who took him somewhere else in the forest. The only hint that he has as to its location is that it's called Cragmaw Castle. At this point, a story about how the players have rescued a knight have spread around the town, and if they have returned the Lion Shield goods back to the general store, they are especially praised throughout the town for their noble deeds. There is a local band of ruffians known as the Redbrands. These thugs hang around certain parts of town and are under instruction of their secretive leader, Glassstaff, to keep visitors away from Phandalin, and generally make people want to move away. These ruffians all wear a tatty-looking red cloak and often skulk around town looking to make trouble. The Redbrands are actually situated under the Treszendar Manor in a secret base of operations. You could have the players immediately go to the manor to remove the Redbrand threat, but exploring the town of Phandalin may hold more interest for players looking to roleplay and learn about the town's past. There are a variety of characters in town that the players will meet while staying in Phandalin. Toblin Stonehill is an innkeeper for Stonehill Inn. He knows the general information about the town and is happy to talk to players. Elmar Barthen, he owns the trading post at the entrance of town, Barthen's Provisions. Players can get rope, lamp and other general items here. Lenine Greywind, the owner of the Lion Shield coaster. They sell normal equipment found in the player's handbook such as armor and weapons. Harbin Wester, the townmaster of Phandalin. He doesn't like the Redbrands, but he's too worried about the goblin attacks to deal with the problem immediately. Quelline Adderleaf, a farmer whose son, Carp, knows the secret entrance to the Redbrand's hideout. Here are some general rumours the players will hear when talking to characters around Phandalin. Nath, an old farmer, will tell them about Sister Garalee at the Shrine of Luck, and that she left the town a week ago and returned badly wounded. This leads into the side quest known as the Banshee's Bargain. Elsa, a barmaid, will tell the players that Darren Eldermath, the owner of the orchard, used to be an adventurer. This will lead to the side quest, Old Owl Trouble. Lenar, a miner, will tell the players about orc raiders that have been seen along the Cragmaw trail. The town master wants them gone, and this will lead into the side quest, Orc Trouble. A young child called Pip, Tolban's son, will tell the players that he heard that a boy called Carp has found a secret tunnel, and the Redbrands seem to hang around it. Following this rumour, the players may discover that there is a non-trapped entrance to the Redbrands' hideout. Frida, a local weaver, will tell the players that the Redbrands hassle everyone except for the Miners' Exchange. When the players visit the Miners' Exchange, Halia will offer 300 gold pieces if the players can remove the Redbrands from the town. Trilena, the innkeeper's wife, will tell the players that Theldendar, a local woodcarver, stood up to the Redbrands but was killed. Several people even saw it happen. His wife and daughter have recently gone missing too. The players can later find his wife and daughters as captives in the Redbrands' hideout. Barthen, the owner of the provision store, tells the players that the Redbrands always hang around the Sleeping Giant Inn. Players can attempt to get Redbrands drunk in order to coax information from them, or perhaps kidnap one of them and coerce an answer from them. The Redbrands aren't very clever and act as general thugs, but they do have some interesting information. They call their leader Glassstaff because he's a man that carries around a staff made of glass. They also know that the name the Black Spider seems to be important to him. The Redbrands are also told specifically to target travellers and tourists and anyone who is prospecting in the region. The Redbrands describe an ugly one-eyed monster that patrols their hideout. The Redbrands also know that they keep captives near the crypts, which are actually guarded by skeletons that don't attack them as long as they wear their red cloaks. There are other small quests that can be completed for additional treasure, story points, and to move players closer to the Redbrands' hideout. You may want players to progress to 3rd level before entering the hideout, and these quests make for great filler before they do so. In this area of the adventure, there isn't much detail and it is fairly bare bones, so as the Dungeon Master, feel free to add your own elements to the story and spice up the campaign. Orc Trouble. Along the Cragmaw trail, there's an orc encampment. The people of Phandalin fear their kind and would rather that they leave. This quest doesn't have a lot of detail in the adventure description, so feel free to add your own complications. The orcs are a part of the Many Arrows tribe, the tribe of goblins and hobgoblins that work out of Cragmaw Castle. Maybe they have a hostage, or maybe they need specific food or supplies, or maybe they're moving away from a much more powerful creature. The orcs have crossbows, throwing axes, and great axes, and use them to the best of their ability. They attack a single target at a time as they are brutal combatants. You should have a few more orcs than there are players, making it dangerous to directly engage them. There is also an ogre that hangs around with the orcs. It's not too bright, but the ogre follows whatever orders the orcs give it. Players who can chase away or slay the orcs will be paid 500 gold pieces by the town master. Slaying the orcs reveals that one of the orcs has a +1 hand axe, and together they collectively have about 550 copper pieces. Old Owl Trouble. The ruins of the Old Owl Well have had prospectors chased away by various undead creatures. An evil red Thay wizard lives there called Cost. He has a dozen zombies with him for protection, and he is selfish and snobby, but open to talking. He lives in a tent next to the well. The two things that he wants are the removal of the orcs so he can better travel, but also he needs to know the name of the person who built the Old Owl Well. This piece of information is very rare, and only the Banshee in the Banshee's Bargain quest knows the answer to it. The answer is Arthendol. If players help Cost and complete his 2 tasks, they'll be given 300 gold pieces, a potion of healing, and a scroll of darkness. Players who kill Cost or steal from him end up with an additional 200 gold pieces, a pearl worth 100 gold pieces, and a ring of protection. The Banshee's Bargain. Garrily from the Shrine of Luck may ask the players to speak with Agatha, a banshee who is stuck in the ruins along the Tribor Trail. Garrily will give the players an ivory comb as a gift to Agatha and tell them to flatter her appearance. If the players give the banshee the comb and flatter her, she will answer any single question about the adventure truthfully, as she knows a lot about the history and nature of the Sword Mountain area. The players could fulfill their own curiosity about the world, or they could find information that another character finds valuable. Garrily would like the players to find the location of a spellbook owned by a person called Bowgentle. Alternatively, the players could get information for Cost in regards to who built the Old Owl Well. The players might also ask, where is Cragmaw Castle? Where is Wave Echo Cave? Who really is the Black Spider? Agatha knows the answer to these questions, but she will only gift one answer to the players. If the players insult or harass the Banshee, it will attack. This is a deadly encounter, and players should be warned about the Banshee's mortal threat. Killing the Banshee uncovers Bowgentle's spellbook in the ruins. Part 3. The Redbrand's Hideout. After spending a fair amount of time talking to the characters around Phandalin and completing quests, players will eventually be pointed towards the Redbrands to rid the town of their thuggish problems, but also to find more information on the Black Spider, Cragmaw Castle, and what Gundren has been seeking here. The hideout was originally a basement of a large manor, which has been expanded by the Redbrands under the designs of Glassstaff. The ceiling is about 10 feet high in most areas, and the doors are fairly sturdy and have locks on them. They could be broken down with a minute of bashing the door, but it would alert most of the inhabitants of the dungeon nearby. There are 2 keys, one on the bugbear in Area 9 and one with Glassstaff in Area 12. Most of the dungeon is lit with oil lamps. Area 1 is the entrance, assuming that the players have explored the ruins of the destroyed manor. The door of this entrance is usually trapped, and if players do not make a DC 15 perception check as they attempt to enter through the door, they may find that an alchemist's fire drops onto their head, dealing 1d6 fire damage. As they enter into the basement, there are many barrels and crates with food like flour, salted meat, and wine. Pulling apart these crates causes noises and alerts the Redbrands in room 2. Hidden inside the cistern of water with a DC 15 perception or investigation check is a waterproof sack with a potion of healing, a potion of invisibility, 50 gold pieces, and a set of fancy clothes. They were put here by Arno, the wizard known as Glassstaff from Area 12, as backup in case he had to leave quickly. Area 2 is a makeshift barracks, a place for the Redbrands to hang around after harassing people in Phandalin. There are some weapons here which 2 or 3 Redbrands have on hand if they hear anything in Area 1. If they know someone is coming, they ready their actions at the door to attack whoever comes through. They try their best to alert the rest of the hideout, but will have to run to Area 9 or 10 to do so. Area 3 can be accessed from Area 1 by a false wall that can be moved to one side. The wall is often moved and has left scuff marks on the ground, requiring only a DC 10 perception or investigation to find out, but can also be coerced out of a captured Redbrand. Inside of this room is a pit trap with a false floor, needing a DC 15 perception check to spot. If the players do not spot the trap, 100 pounds of weight causes the floor to collapse sending the victim 20 feet below, taking 2d6 damage. In Area 4 there are some sarcophagus along with 3 skeletons that attack anyone who is not wearing a red cloak, or who does not say the name Ilafan, which is the elven word for the long-lost empire that once covered the Sword Coast. Fighting the skeletons alerts the redbrands in Area 5. In the sarcophaguses, players can find 3 platinum rings on corpses which are worth 50 gold pieces each. In Area 5 there are makeshift jail cells known as the slave pens. You can see a bunch of discarded clothes here that suggest that many unfortunate people have been brought here. 2 redbrands are guarding this location. The prisoners are Mirana Dendra, wife of the recently killed woodcarver, and her 2 daughters. They are hungry and scared as they have been told that they will be sold into slavery. The doors can be picked with the Thieves' Tools kit, or noisily bashed down in about 2 minutes. As thanks for rescuing them, they tell the players about a bugbear having the key somewhere towards Area 9, and that Glassstaff can cast magic like Charm Person and Magic Missile. Mirana also mentions how she wishes she could return home to her hometown in Thundertree. If the players are nice to her, she also tells them that in Thundertree there are many relics that have been left abandoned, and that in her old herbalist store there was a secret cache under some shelves that contained some valuable family heirlooms. Area 6 is an armory that has a variety of weapons and many red cloaks to wear. 12 spears, 6 short swords, 4 long swords, 6 light crossbows, and 8 quivers holding 20 bolts each can be found here. There is also a secret door in the hallway that can be found with a DC 15 perception check or investigation check. Area 7 is a storeroom full of mundane goods. Nothing here is immediately valuable, but players who search through the crates for 10 minutes can find 30 animal pelts worth 2 gold piece each. They can also find other items here if a player had something stolen from them by the redbrands previously in the adventure. This joins Area 6 through a secret door, which on this side only has a DC 10 perception or investigation check to find. Area 8 is a large crevice that splits the chamber in the centre of the hideout. The ceiling is 20 feet high here, and the crevice is 20 feet deep, with a DC 15 athletics check required to climb it. At the bottom of the crevice is the corpse of Theldendra, half eaten by the Nothic that wanders these halls. In this room, the Nothic stalks about behind rocks, and uses telepathy to ask players questions about why they are here. Due to its selfish nature, it wants to rid this place of the redbrands who treat it poorly. Although it is willing to temporarily ally with the players, it can quickly turn on them if it feels it can get away with killing them. In the crevice, the Nothic has buried a small chest that can be found with the DC 15 perception or investigation check. Inside is 160 silver, 120 gold, 5 gemstones worth 15 gold pieces each, 2 potions of healing, and a scroll of augury. There also is a +1 longsword that belonged to the Tresenda family, a knight who defended these lands during the Orc invasion, which a DC 10 history check can reveal. Area 9 is a bedroom that has 3 bugbears, including a leader who wears an eye patch called Mosk. He has been told by the Black Spider to work for Glassstaff. He hates humans, but he's been able to bully those weaker than him, which brings him a sick joy. A goblin is also here. If the players listen before entering the room, they can hear the goblin being harassed and teased in the language of goblin. If the players dress up like redbrands, they may be able to trick the bugbears with a difficulty 12 deception check. Failing this check by 5 or more means the bugbears realise something is amiss and become hostile towards the players. The goblin's name is Droop, and he hates his role as servant here. If the players want, they could help Droop escape. Droop knows all the routes around the hideouts as well as the secret doors and traps, and he shares this information if it means his freedom. Droop and the bugbears here all know where Cragmaw Castle is. Mosk has the key that opens any lock in this hideout, including 50 gold pieces worth of gemstones in his eye patch that he wears. In Area 10 there are many redbrands in this room who are gambling with dice. If a player listens at the door they can hear rattling, then the shouts of victory along with the groans of loss. If a player enters the room while wearing the red cloaks, they may be questioned as to who they are. A difficulty 10 deception check can quickly pass themselves off as new recruits. Although there are many redbrands in this room, they are currently all drunk on ale, giving them the poison condition for about an hour. Area 11 is a wizard's den, and there's bubbling beakers and various alchemical kits set up for magic creation. A rat can be seen with the DC 10 perception check. It is a loyal familiar to Glassstaff, and it will either attempt to warn him by running to Area 12, or fake curiosity and hunger to learn about the player characters. The rat, however, stays loyal to his wizard master. There are some books here written in Dwarvish and Gnomish that describe a magic forge that is in Wave Echo Cave. It also describes a magic mace called Lightbringer that is apparently hidden somewhere in the mines. Area 12 is a study of the wizard Glassstaff. If caught off guard, the players can find him reading a letter from the Black Spider, which details how the dwarf Rockseeker has been causing trouble with his gang of adventurers and should be removed from the situation as soon as possible. Glassstaff fights by blasting the players with magic missile, burning hands and charm person. Any character that he manages to enchant with charm person, he'll ask them to protect them from the allies who are trying to harm him. His staff lets him cast mage armor on himself and shield once per day, and he does this if he's allowed to prepare for battle. If he is outnumbered or brought below half his hit points, he flees with Misty Step, trying to get to his sack that he hid in Area 1 and drink the potion of invisibility. He may return later in the adventure for revenge. If he is captured, he comes up with an elaborate lie about how he was mind controlled or manipulated and that he was the victim of Black Spider. But in truth, he is just as evil as any redbrands under him. He knows the Black Spider is a drow, and he knows that everything that has been happening in Phandalin has to do with keeping a secret. He knows that the Black Spider has already found the cave and is looking for a way to use the magic forge, but only the dwarves or gnomes seem to be able to use it. He also tells the players that the bugbears know more about Wave Echo Cave and its whereabouts, which is a lie. Glassstaff is a coward, and when pressed he easily releases this information. Once the players have removed the Redbrand threat and rescued the captives, the town of Phandalin celebrates their new freedom. The Redbrands are put to hard labour as punishment or thrown in jail. Both inns now provide free food and lodging for the players, and many of the townsfolk offer small gifts and rewards to the players. Around this point of the adventure, players will usually be at 3rd level. The players have the option now of completing the quests previously mentioned, along with uncovering Cragmaw Castle. They also may want to visit Thundertree Village, a destroyed village far to the north, for extra magic items and equipment. However, the players could travel directly to Wave Echo Cave, but it is recommended that they progress to level 5 before doing this. Part 5. Ruins of Thundertree. 30 years ago, an eruption destroyed Thundertree, along with a plague of zombies that swept through the area. Many refugees fled to Neverwinter and Phandalin, and 30 years later the town has become a dangerous place as a young dragon has taken control of it, along with cultists that worship it. The entire area is thick and overgrown with bushes and trees. The buildings are flimsy, and the doors easily splinter when struck. The houses are still furnished but terribly decayed. Twig blights and giant spiders cover the area, and after being killed they are usually resettled the next day as others migrate from different areas of the surrounding forest. Ash zombies do not return to life as long as they are dismembered by the players after they are slain. In Area 1, the first house is a small cottage. 2 twig blights hide here. They don't immediately attack the players, but rather watch silently from the shadows. If the players begin fighting twig blights in other areas, these twig blights join their brethren in battle. The cottage itself is empty and derelict. In Area 2 there are 2 destroyed cottages that are overgrown by plants. Inside are many twig blights, at least as many as there are players, and they stealthily surround the players before attacking. Twig blights view other creatures as fertilizer for their plant domains and fight to the death. The 2 twig blights from Area 1 join the battle if the players do not flee. If the players dig through the undergrowth, they may reveal a hidden cache of coins with 700 copper, 160 silver and 90 gold. In Area number 3, the players will find an abandoned brewery. A broken sign reads, "Best ale in the land." Inside are about half the party's number in zombies, which appear to be corpses, but they come to life if they hear other creatures approach. In addition to their usual powers, these zombies have ash-covered bodies, which relates to how they died from the eruption 30 years ago. Creatures striking the zombies within 5 feet must make a DC 10 Constitution save or become blind for 1 minute as the ash bursts from their wounds. They can attempt to save against this effect at the end of each of their turns to end the effect early. In Area 4, there is a building that looks more reinforced than the rest of the ruins here. Inside is Redoff, a druid who came to the village to watch the result of the eruption, as well as to ward away any travellers that may find danger here. He speaks in short terms and uses few words, but he has things to tell the players. He mentions that there are giant spiders, evil plants, and zombies, as well as a recent dragon that has taken hold of the tower to the north. He also mentions that there are strange people who wear black to the east, but he avoids them. He wants the dragon gone, but he knows the dangers of facing a dragon alone. His home is fortified enough to ward off most creatures' attacks, but the dragon itself poses too much of a threat, so he is careful about revealing his position here. He is helpful to the players and provides food and shelter. He has one of the few places that are safe to rest in Thundertree. He also knows where Cragmaw Castle is if the players are interested. He even knows where Wave Echo Cave is, but he will not reveal such information unless the dragon is removed from the town. If he is attacked, he turns into a squirrel and flees into the forest. His home has nothing valuable. In Area 5 there is a ruined farmhouse that contains many twig blights, at least double the amount of players that there are. They remain hidden and attack when the players are inside the house. The house contains nothing of value. In Area 6 there is a ruined store that still has a functional roof. Giant spiders have taken residence in here to avoid anything on the ground. Thin strands of web cover this interior, which allows the giant spiders to sense anything moving underneath them with their blind sense. Seeing the web requires a DC 12 perception check. Walking into a web requires a DC 10 athletics check, or they become grappled until they can break free by using their action to make the athletics check again, or using a slashing weapon or fire damage to destroy the web. The twig blights from Area 5 might approach the commotion if the players make a lot of noise. The spiders fight until they are reduced to 50% of their hit points, and then they retreat back into the roof of the building. If they slay the spiders, they can find a dried out corpse wrapped in silk with 20 gold pieces, 55 silver pieces, and a potion of healing, along with studded leather armor and a short sword. The building in Area 7 was once a wizard's tower, but it has become the lair of a young green dragon. The dragon usually sleeps during the day, but if the players make too much noise, the dragon wakes and readies itself for battle. The dragon fights until it's reduced to half its hit points, and although powerful, the dragon is somewhat cowardly and retreats into the forest. Inside the tower is 800 silver pieces, 150 gold pieces, and 4 silver goblets worth 60 gold pieces each. There is also a scroll of Misty Step, a scroll of Lightning Bolt, and a +1 battle axe called Hew that always deal maximum damage to plant creatures or wooden objects. The axe was designed to slay dryads, and it makes the owner feel worried when in a forest. Feel free to give the dragon a name you think appropriate, such as Venom Fang or Siserax. In Area 8, the players can find an abandoned blacksmith. Inside are 2 ash zombies, along with various blacksmithing tools and equipment. In Area 9, the players can find an abandoned herbalist shop. It's full of rotten materials in stagnant jars. A DC 15 investigation check can uncover a 200 gold piece necklace that is hidden under some shelving. However, if the players heard of the secret compartment from Mirana back at the Redbrand's hideout, the players find it automatically. If the players return this necklace to Mirana, she thanks them indefinitely and the player's alignment moves towards good. Mirana doesn't have much, but she does everything within her power to assist the players. In Area 10, the town square has been reclaimed by the forest. A statue of a warrior is holding a sword in the center. A DC 10 investigation check or any tool proficiency check related to stonework reveals that the statue could be knocked over with a DC 15 athletics check. This is important to relate to the players during the dragon fight. Have the statue deal 10d6 damage to any creature caught under it when it falls over, perhaps even knocking the creature prone. A DC 15 dexterity save can halve the damage and avoid the prone condition. The statue is of an old hero of Neverwinter called Phandalin, which is written at its base. In Area 11, the players can find a garrison that once held the town guard. Now there are several zombies wearing armor that stalk this place. Add a +2 to the armor class of the normal zombies. There is a ladder inside of this building that would allow someone to climb to the 2nd floor, which now lacks a roof and walls, and acts as a raised platform 10 feet off the ground. In Area 12, there are as many twig blights as there are party members, and they hide in the abandoned weaver's cottage. They attack from stealth. The cultists from Area 13 may hear this combat and will come to investigate. In Area 13 there are 6 cultists in the house, and they have fashioned the house into a small base of operations. They are looking for ways to approach and serve the green dragon, but understand that dragons can be quite unreasonable, even for willing slaves. They are looking for the best way to appease the dragon. If the players tell the cultists they seek to slay the dragon, they immediately become hostile. The building is more fortified than the other buildings here and can be locked from the inside. The leader is a man named Favrik. He carries a potion of flying and 3 diamonds worth 100 gold pieces each. He plans to use the diamonds as a peace offering to the dragon. If Favrik is slain, the other cultists become nervous, and it's easier for the players to tell the cultists to leave Thundertree. If the players are able to successfully help the dragon cultists become servants of the green dragon, the dragon cultists give them a map that leads to Cragmaw Castle that they found in the ruins of Thundertree. The players can spend as little or as much time as they'd like in Thundertree. If they are able to repel or even slay the dragon, Redoth gladly leads them to Cragmaw Castle or Wave Echo Cave. Otherwise, the players can stop by Neverwinter City or return to Phandalin to spend their gold. Part 6. The Cragmaw Castle. This castle is hard to find due to having its location overgrown and unmanaged. The castle is in disrepair, but still functional. There was a 2nd floor, but now there is only a 1st floor that is navigable. The goblins and hobgoblins rarely bother to use torches, so the only light that comes into the building is from outside. There are some arrow slits that allow defenders to fire from within, keeping 3/4 cover from anyone outside the castle. Players may try to sneak in from the roof, or use Redbrand cloaks to disguise themselves. The player character that makes the claim should roll a deception check opposed by the monster's insight check. If the players are particularly good at conveying that they are part of the Redbrands, such as remembering details about Glassstaff, or knowing that the Black Spider is a drow, have advantage. In Area 1 we see the main gates. They are broken and no longer keep intruders out. The goblins call out from Areas 3 and can warn the rest of the castle by banging dirty pots and pans together. Otherwise they simply shoot arrows through the murder holes. In Area 2 we see a trap that can be triggered with a tripwire. A DC 12 perception check reveals the trap. The trap deals 4d6 damage to anyone caught in the area. They can make a DC 12 dexterity save, saving for half damage. This trap alerts most of the castle to intruders. In both areas labelled 3, 2 goblins have bows and daggers ready. They ready their actions at the door to stab at any intruders who try to enter. In Area 4 there is a messy bedroom that the goblins use. There are usually 3 goblins here chewing on bones of local game they have caught. Any noise of battle here may draw the attention of those in Area 7. In Area 5 we find a storeroom that holds any loot the goblins have stolen from travellers. There's some fine dwarven brandy here, a crate worth at least 50 gold pieces. There's also some gear taken from Sildar, which includes his chainmail and longsword with his emblem emblazoned on it. In Area 6 we find the hobgoblin quarters. They are more organised than the goblin quarters, but are still quite rank by human standards. Players who listen at the door here may hear the hobgoblins loudly complaining about the bugbears that order them around. In this room, players can find many weapons, including 5 spears, 4 longswords, 3 morning stars, 2 greatswords, and a +1 quarterstaff that has feathers affixed to both ends and is surprisingly light. In Area 7 we find the dining hall, which is now littered with goblin garbage. There is a fat goblin called Yeg who slaves over a pot, creating all sorts of nasty food combinations, although he views himself as a culinary genius. Yeg has double the normal hit points of a goblin and bosses around 2 servant goblins. If there's any trouble, these goblins run to get help elsewhere in the castle. In Area 8 we see a single grick that hangs around in this room. It hangs from the ceiling, ready to eat whatever scraps that are given to it, or to attack any interlopers that find their way in here. The grick is a pet of Lupo, a goblin who is in Area 9. Other than the grick, there are a lot of religious symbols here, including Ogma, the god of invention, Lathander, the god of dawn, Mishtra, god of magic, and Timora, god of luck. A goblin has hidden a 100 gold piece gold elf statue under a burnt out brazier here. A DC 15 investigation check can find it. In Area 9 we find a chamber that used to be part of a chapel, but it has been desecrated into a shrine to Magulbet, a goblin god. There are 3 goblins here, including Lupo, who has 2 levels in cleric in addition to his normal stat block. He usually casts Bane and Chill Touch on anyone who ruins their sacred place. The relics in this room amount to 200 gold pieces if the players loot them. Area 10 includes a back door to the castle, however it is locked, but a DC 13 thieves' tools can break open the lock, or the players can bash the door for a minute, breaking it down. However, this will alert the nearby rooms that there are intruders. Area 11 is the worst damage of the castle, but it has been covered up by a hanging canvas in an area marked C on the map. This prevents creatures from looking in or out of the castle. In Area 12, another barracks is here with 2 hobgoblins. They can fire their bows out the window slits, and they will run to Area 14 if they see any trouble. Area 13 has been made into a makeshift barricade to keep an owlbear contained inside. The animal has been captured and the hobgoblins are deciding what to do with it. The door is firmly locked with a large piece of wood barring it shut. The owlbear is angry and attacks anything it can see. Inside the room amongst the junk is a small chest with a potion of greater healing, a scroll of silence, a scroll of revivify, and 120 gold pieces. This can be found with a DC 15 perception or investigation check. In Area 14, if the players listen to the door, they can hear two voices in a heated argument. One voice is a low growl that demands payment, while another softly replies in an elvish voice. Inside is a bugbear named Groll, with 2 levels of fighter, along with a wolf companion who defends his master to the death. There is also a female drow here, which is actually a doppelganger in disguise. Its name is Verilith, and it is in service to the Black Spider. Groll has a map to Wave Echo Cave, which he took from Gundren, who is unconscious tied up in the corner of the room. Groll wants to sell the map back to Verilith, who disagrees as its mission is to destroy the map and to kill the dwarf. Both things are currently being denied by the bugbear. If a fight breaks out, Groll threatens to kill Gundren. If Verilith feels the situation is too dangerous, it will flee back to the Black Spider. The external entrance to this room has been rigged with a ringing bell that alerts the people on the interior that there are intruders. Groll has hidden the map under his bed along with 450 gold pieces and 3 potions of healing. Gundren refuses to leave the castle without his map. Players may even have the opportunity to buy the map from Groll, who will part for it for a mere 500 gold. But Verilith will do its best to stop this from happening. If Gundren dies, there are still 2 other brothers, Nundro and Tharden, that are both at Wave Echo Cave. Gundren reveals his plan to unearth the mine and promises to give the players a share of the mine's profits if they help him. After escaping with Gundren, or the first time the players flee from the castle, the players encounter a returning warband of hobgoblins led by Targor Bloodsword, with 2 pet wolves and 4 other hobgoblins. They carry the severed heads of dead elves from their recent hunt. The party can try to bluff their way by saying that they are redbrands, but they can also appeal to Targor's ambition, as he wants to usurp the bugbear Groll. This can be an opportunity to gain temporary allies in the siege against Castle Cragmaw. If the players show any disrespect or cowardice, Targor is likely to attack them. If he defeats the players, they become new captives at Cragmaw Castle, along with Gundren, which gives you an opportunity to run a great escape scenario, as a fight between the bugbears and hobgoblins breaks out in the castle. Part 7. Uncovering Wave Echo Cave. Before setting out for Wave Echo Cave, make sure your players are well outfitted. Perhaps the town of Phandalin has some new supplies delivered from Neverwinter. Items like potions of healings, scrolls of spells 2nd level or lower. They can always retreat from Wave Echo Cave back to Phandalin to prepare again for another attempt to unseat the Black Spider. Nesnar, the Black Spider, is a 4th level wizard drow with a group of pet giant spiders. He also has a group of many arrow goblins and bugbears that follow his orders. However, in Wave Echo Cave there are many undead that have halted Nezar's ability to fully explore and activate the Magic Forge's abilities. The cave also attracts roving bands of wandering monsters, as the cave has many tunnels and chambers that lead to the Underdark, so many players may find themselves under constant attack if they try to have long rests within the cave itself. The cave has ceilings of various heights from 10 feet to 40 feet, all of which have stalactites and dribble water. The cave has a constant crashing noise as a geothermal lake with a geyser causes the ocean-like waves of the volcanic water to crash into one side of the dungeon. This noise gets louder as the players progress deeper into the mines. Most rooms are pitch black, however some rooms have torches where the bugbears and goblins need to see beyond their 60 feet dark vision. If Nazar knows someone is trying to attack him in his cave, he tries to hinder the players with his magic from afar while they'll deal with other creatures in the mine. He quickly retreats back to his lair, which is protected by his spider minions. Roaming monsters include sturges, ghouls, gricks, bugbears, skeletons, zombies, and ochre jellies. Roll a 1d6 to find out how many of these creatures the players might find every few hours they remain in the cave. In Area 1, the entrance can be found by descending down a 20-foot pit, which requires a DC 15 athletics check, or an automatic success if they use a rope. Sadly, in this area, the players can find the corpse of the dead rock-seeker Thardan. A DC 12 medicine check reveals that he was killed by a large spider bite and succumbed to the poison. The other brother is currently a prisoner in Area 20. Thardan's boots are actually boots of striding and springing, and the players may take them unless Gundren is there, who demands they be returned to him as a family heirloom. Area 2 features various mining tunnels that extend into various dead ends. An ochre jelly is lurking here and remains hidden until it can find itself alone with a target, and then it attacks. In Area 3, players can find many skeletons. A DC 10 medicine or nature check reveals these to be dwarf, gnome, and orc bones, and suggests that many hundreds of years ago a battle took place here. While the players investigate the bones, a flock of sturges double the number of players descend from the darkness of the ceiling onto their party. In Area 4 is an old guard room that has many more piles of bones. The bones in this room, however, animate into skeletons should the players investigate. Most of the weapons in this room are rusted and decayed and are beyond using. In Area 5 there is an office of sorts. It was originally run by the mining assayers who would determine the metal quality and price that was mined. There are old ledgers of paperwork here written in Dwarvish, but they crumble to dust if disturbed. There is a strongbox in this room, which requires a DC 17 Thieves' Tool check to open. Inside is 600 gold pieces and 20 platinum pieces. Area 6 is a barracks where the miners would rest from their work. Listening in on the wooden door reveals the noises of scraping and crunching. A number of ghouls equal to half the party are in here, and immediately attack when they see fresh victims. The ghouls have been gnawing on orc and dwarf bones. In Area 7 there is a small storeroom that once contained wine and ale, but due to poor storage it has long since evaporated. This place doesn't show any signs of being disturbed, and it would make a suitable place for players to have a short rest undisturbed. Area 8 is a cavern filled with dimly lit glowing fungus. Walking through this area disturbs the fungus spores, and every round a creature must make a DC 11 Constitution save or take 3d6 poison damage and gain the poison condition for 10 minutes. Moving extremely carefully through the room 5 feet per round avoids this effect. Area 9 contains a banquet hall, but the only thing doing eating here is the ghouls. There should be as many ghouls here as there are players. There are 10-foot tall escarpments here that can be climbed up with the DC 12 athletics check. In Area 10 there is a murky black pool of stagnant water, about 20 feet deep in the middle. Though the water looks frightening, at the bottom of the pool are several skeletons and 2 platinum rings worth 100 gold, along with a wand of magic missile that can be found. Area 11 has been fortified by the bugbears, who have begun to use it as a base of operations within the mine. The doors are made of scrap metal and are heavy and sturdy, but a DC 12 Thieves' Tools check can unlock the crude locks. Players listening at the door can hear the gruff goblinoid voices talking about how hungry they are. There are as many bugbears as there are players in this room, and they all have potions of false life, which they drink if they suspect they're being attacked. In Area 12 we find the Smelter Cavern. It looks like it was abandoned mid-use and sits idle surrounded by the bones of orcs and dwarves. There is a flame skull here that reanimates every hour unless someone douses its ashes with holy water. The flame skull has the power to issue verbal commands to any skeletons or zombies that it can hear it, as well as a variety of spells that it flings at players with its undying rage. It doesn't leave this room, and instead views the undead to be its allies and everything else to be invaders. Area 13 also has a litter of bones alongside 2 buildings that have survived the raid. However, there are many scorch marks that suggest a battle of magic took place here. A DC 10 Arcana check, or the use of the spell Detect Magic, detects a powerful lingering magical presence towards Area 15. In Area 14, the doors have been welded shut. 10 minutes of bashing on the door is able to unhinge and break down the door. In here is a wraith called Mormesk, who floats through the floor once someone enters. Although undead, Mormesk does not immediately attack the players unless one of them is an orc. The only lingering drive he has is the protection of the cave and the loss of his companions. Players who show respect or try to ally themselves with Mormesk will be gifted with the few possessions he once had. If the players try to take his possession without his permission, he attacks. Inside a chest are his possessions, which amount to 1,100 copper, 250 silver, 95 gold, 10 platinum, 3 diamonds worth 100 gold piece each, and a silver and gold smoking pipe worth 150 gold. On his bookshelf he offers players to read his works. Most of them are boring, obscure technical textbooks, but one of them has a scroll of fireball for the taking. Mormesk asks the players one request: to kill the creature in Area 15. In Area 15, the doors have been locked from within by a crossbar of wood. 10 minutes of bashing the door is able to unhinge and break the door down. Inside is a spectator who speaks telepathically in a funny-sounding voice. He is surprised to have guests. The spectator doesn't actually understand the difference between the undead and the living, so it assumes the mine has been functioning as normal for hundreds of years. Its role was to protect all the magic items in the room, and it's been fulfilling that duty ever since. There is a +1 breastplate and a +1 mace that deals 1d6 radiant damage and sheds light in a 30-foot radius in this room, but the spectator will not allow players to touch them. If players are able to recall information about wizards, or know the name Lightbringer from reading a book back at the Redbrand's hideout, they can impersonate themselves as a wizard, gaining advantage if they had the platinum rings found in Area 10, and if they can cast a spell just like a wizard, the DC is 10, otherwise the deception DC is 15. The Spectre leaves if he is convinced that his duty is over. In this room is also a brazier of green flame, which a DC 15 Arcana check lets players activate, allowing them to add a +1 bonus to any weapon or piece of armor for 24 hours. This brazier only works once per day and cannot be moved from this room. In the small room to the north, players can find a variety of paintbrushes and crafting supplies, though most of them have decayed beyond use. In Area 16, there is a constant boom as water rushes into the cave's edge. The ledge is about 10 feet above the water, but the water constantly rises and falls by 10 feet every 30 seconds. Area 17 features a small crevice that separates one side from the other. A single skeleton wanders uselessly down below, but otherwise the room is quite empty. In the crevice is a pile of rocks, and with Detect Magic, the players can sense a small amount of transmutation magic. Spending a few minutes unearthing the rocks reveals a crushed dwarf corpse wearing gauntlets of ogre strength. The crevice is about 20 feet deep and requires a DC 10 athletics check to climb down. Players may be able to hear a hushed conversation occurring in Area 18. In Area 18, 2 bugbears and a doppelganger that is currently taking the form of a male drow are there. They are discussing mapping out the cave, and the doppelganger has sketched a map that reveals to the players the general size and shape of Wave Echo Cave. If the players cause noise by fighting the skeleton or moving the rocks in the crevice, they attack from on high. The doppelganger retreats to warn Nesnar if one of the bugbears dies. Area 19 was once a temple to Damathon, dwarf god of mining. The statue has valuable looking gemstone eyes, but they are actually just made of glass. An abjuration spell has been placed on the statue, and should the eyes be removed, the roof caves in on anyone underneath within 10 feet, dealing 4d10 bludgeoning damage. Nesnar is in this room along with his spiders. There should be just as many giant spiders as there are players. Nesnar demands that the players surrender to him, and he threatens to kill the dwarf captive in Area 20 if they disagree. In truth though, he wants the dwarf alive because he believes the dwarf knows the secrets of the magic forge here, which the dwarf has faked in knowing. Nesnar stews in his own genius by asking the players if they figured out that he was behind the goblin attacks and the Redbrand thugs, even asking the players to describe how they uncovered his plans, which he finds amusing. If the players attack, Nesnar sends his giant spiders to engage the enemies and cast spells such as Magic Missile and Ray of Frost from afar. He casts darkness to blind the players, while his spiders use their blind sense to avoid the spell's effects within the room, which is coated in their spider web. Nesnar doesn't believe he can lose, and he fights to the death. Nesnar carries a potion of healing, which he will try to drink during combat, along with his venomous spider staff, which he lashes out with should the players get too close. He also has the key that unlocks any door in the mine. He also has a small sack of valuables totaling 500 gold, along with an Electrum Ale mug worth 100 gold pieces. If captured alive, the Rock Seekers have him taken to Neverwinter for trial. Area 20 is locked with a complicated mechanism that requires at least a DC 20 Thieves' Tools check to open. Attempting to break down the door immediately attracts the attention of the creatures in Areas 19 and 18. Inside, players find a beaten and unconscious Nundro. Nundro is the youngest of the brothers, and he doesn't know a lot about Wave Echo Cave, but he knows about Nesnar and his schemes. He begs to be taken back to Gundren. After players have successfully defeated Nesnar, they can use their newfound authority to chase away the bugbears and goblins from Wave Echo Cave, who hastily retreat from the creepy place back to Cragmaw Castle. The players are rewarded with a huge celebration in Phandalin, and are offered plots of land in the town, including the old Redbrand hideout, to make their own home. The 2 Rockseeker brothers hold a funeral for their departed brother, and the players now have a constant income as the mine reopens under the Rockseekers enterprise. This brings us to the end of the Lost Mine of Phandelver. There may still be some adventure to have. Perhaps the green dragon has not been slain at Thundertree. Perhaps the players want to take over Cragmaw Castle. Maybe the players want to rebuild Thundertree. Another adventure you may be interested in running is Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. You also may want to look into Princes of the Apocalypse or Curse of Strahd. Ask your players what they'd be interested in. Perhaps they'd like to start new characters for a new adventure.